In this video, we will learn how to set up debugging for ARM Cortex-based processor using Eclipse IDE. Here we will not go through the Simulink build process, but how the generated code can be used by Eclipse IDE to build the project, deploy the code, and debug. Now in the Simulink environment, when for the hardware, the Simulink model is built, it generates the code, out files, and the make files as well. For this particular model, we can see the code generated as the source files, the header files, the out files, and the make file. This auto-generated source and include files from Simulink is included in the Eclipse IDE project, and the make file generated by Simulink can be used in the Eclipse IDE. Now, the first step is we need to have the Eclipse IDE for C and C++ installed. If you do not have it installed, you can download and install it from the web location. After installing the IDE, now the aim is to build the project related to ARM Cortex boards. In order to do that, we need to install GNU ARM Eclipse plugin. This plugin can be downloaded from this web location. The name of the plugin and the URL that need to be provided. In Eclipse, click on Help, install new software, and type the name and the URL from the web link. Upon clicking on OK, it will give you the list of all the plugin tools for the GNU ARM C and C++. Right now we can select all and click on Next. This will install all the items that need to be installed. Click on Accept the license agreement. Upon installing all the plugins, it will ask to restart the plugin, Eclipse. The last installed plugin for GCC GNU ARM Eclipse should give you cross ARM GCC compiler option when you select a new project. We will revisit this when creating a new project. This will also install OpenOCD plugin for GNU ARM Eclipse, which is required for debugging. You can confirm whether the OpenOCD plugin is installed or not by selecting Run, Debug Configurations, and look for the tab. Make sure you have not filtered out this in the filtering preferences. Now the next step is to create a new project. Select File, New, Make File Project with existing code. Browse for the location of all source files to build the project and then click Finish. This will by default create the name for the project as the source folder for all the project files. Now click on Cross-Arm GCC and then Finish. Now as we can observe, all the source files, the make files are already loaded by default on this project. Now project properties need to be defined. To do so, right click on the project and select Properties. Click on CC++ build, expand it. Now we need to mention the build command and the make file. For this project, the make file that I need is multi-rate model preemption 15a.mk. So this is the make file which is generated by the Simulink, and we'll be using this make file to build the project. Now we need to define the environment variables for this project. For this project, I need to define one environment variable, which is energia root. The value for this variable is nothing but the directory path for the tool chain. After defining, click on apply. Now we need to define the tools path, which is nothing but the tool chain folder as well. Select the tool chain name as GNU Tools for ARM Embedded Processor and provide the tool chain folder. Click on apply. Now go to the settings, click on the binary parser, and you should select the GNU ELF parser while uncheck the ELF parser option. Now click on apply, click on OK. After defining the project properties, preferences has to be set in order to set up the debug. Please install OpenOCD for your operating systems. For example, for Windows, you can install it from this location. Here you will find the support for all the latest hardwares which is provided by the OpenOCD. Please note a few toolchain IDs for the hardware board includes OpenOCD folders as well. Please check for the same before installation. Now in Eclipse, main perspective, select Windows, Preferences, Run Debug, OpenOCD. We need to mention the appropriate OpenOCD path and the executable. So here the executable name is OpenOCD underscore 0.80 and the folder where this executable resides. Click on apply and then click on OK. After mentioning the appropriate OpenOCD path and executable name which you have installed from the web location, we need to click on Windows Preferences, C++, Build, the Workspace toolpath. In the Workspace toolpath, you need to mention the toolchain folder and the toolchain name would be GNU Tools for ARM Embedded Processor. Click on Apply and then OK. We should define debug configurations now. In Eclipse, select Run, Debug Configurations. You should find GDB OpenOCD Debugging tab. If there is an extra configuration, you can delete it. By default, the project name and the C++ application executable would be copied to the location. Click on the debugger, mention the config options. These are board specific. GDB port is 33 and telnet port is 44 by default. If you would like to change it, please make changes in the appropriate fields. Click on close. After defining all the settings, you can go to run, debug configurations, and then click on debug. So now this will start the debug session. This is how we observed how the code generated by Simulink can be ported to the Eclipse ARM IDE and using the GNU ARM Eclipse plugin, how to debug.